Buckle up, folks. You're tuned into F1 Motor Fever podcast, and we're kicking it into high gear today with Ferrari's team principal, Fred Vasseur.
A man of many talents, Vasseur has had quite the ride in Formula One, hasn't he?
You've hit the nail on the head there, William. Compared his time in Formula One to being in a washing machine. Now that's a ride.
From Sauber to Ferrari, he's certainly had a whirlwind of an experience.
Spot on, mate. And let's not forget, his initial contact with Ferrari happened after the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix last year. That's like getting an invite to dine with the Queen.
And he took 24 hours to decide. Talk about pressure.
Now let's shift gears to the drivers. He's got Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz under his wing. Quite the dynamic duo, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. He's built quite a connection with Leclerc, seeing him mature and grow since they last worked together in 2018.
And there's Carlos Sainz. Vasseur reckons he's got the right balance of technical know-how and maturity, the perfect compromise, as he calls it.
He's got a point, George. Both Sainz and Leclerc seem like the ideal combination for shaping the future of Ferrari.
Speaking of shaping the future, Vasseur talked about Ferrari's current standing on the track. Not quite where they want to be, but he's got a plan.
And that plan involves improving every single aspect of their game. They've got to make better use of the car, and always strive to do better the next day.
And all the while keeping his cool under the immense pressure of being in charge at Ferrari. Now that's the spirit.
It's not just a job for Vasseur, it's a race. And with the Tifosi cheering them on, Ferrari is aiming to come back and achieve better results.
So there you have it, folks. Fred Vasseur, a man on a mission. With the Monza race up next, Ferrari's home race, he's planning to make the prancing horse gallop to victory.
His journey in Formula One isn't just a tale of racing. It's a saga of resilience, passion, and a relentless pursuit of excellence.
Hello, petrol heads and speedsters alike. This is George at the wheel, and riding shotgun is none other than our ace commentator, William.
Delighted to be here, George Watson.
Now, you're probably wondering where Enzo is. Well, no need to fret. He's just taking a pit stop while we take over for this special Thursday edition of F1 Motor Fever podcast, where we delve into the most iconic moments in the racing world.
And we've got some fantastic stories lined up for you.
You hit the nail on the head, William. But before we whiz off, do us a favor, will you? Hit that subscribe button, activate those notifications, and share your thoughts in the comments section.
And don't forget to share it with your friends and family. It really helps us keep the engine running on this channel.
Absolutely, William. Now you might be thinking, why choose this topic? Well, it's simple. We believe it's not just relevant, but absolutely riveting for any Formula One fan.
Couldn't agree more, George. It's not just about the races. It's about the people, the passion, and the unparalleled dedication that goes into it.
Spot on, mate. So want to know more about the ins and outs of one of Formula One's biggest teams, straight from the horse's mouth? Then you've come to the right place.
Stick with us for some untold stories, exclusive insights, and maybe a few surprises along the way.
Hold on tight, folks, because we're about to hit the accelerator. Full throttle. Oh, I can only imagine the intensity of jumping in at the deep end. Fred's comparison of Ferrari's life to a washing machine really does paint a vivid picture.
Indeed, it's like being thrown into a spin cycle. Joining mid-season, launching the car, racing in Bahrain. It's a non-stop whirl of activity.
And as Fred says, it's not just the pace, it's the passion. Ferrari is a world of difference from other teams. Wonder if the famous red shirt has a part to play in it.
Ha ha ha. Well, I don't think the shirt makes the difference, George. It's the heart and soul poured into the team that sets it apart.
You may be right, William, but one can't help but speculate. Maybe there's a secret power in that famous red shirt, eh?
Ha ha ha! Now, let's not go into the realm of speculations. It might make for some juicy gossip, but it's not quite in line with the truth, is it?
You're right, all in jest, all in jest. But on a serious note, the passion, the intensity, that's what makes the world of Formula One so awe-inspiring, don't you think?
Absolutely. It's the heart of the sport. It's what keeps us and the fans coming back for more.
It's incredible how the emotional highs and lows at Ferrari are like the peaks and troughs of a mountain range, isn't it?
It certainly adds an extra layer of complexity to an already challenging environment.
And it appears that Vasseur is the calm in the storm, striving to balance the emotional extremes and maintain consistency.
That's no easy task, especially when you're at a team like Ferrari that's so much in the spotlight.
And speaking of spotlight, It's fascinating to see how Ferrari's passion is also their strength. Their ability to react and motivate is a testament to their love for the sport.
Absolutely. It's that drive that keeps the team pushing forward, regardless of the challenges they face.
Remember when Vasseur asked for an upgrade to be ready for Spielberg as a joke? And they did it. Talk about giving it your all.
It just goes to show that at Ferrari, they don't just go the extra mile, they go the extra kilometer.
Hold that thought, mate. Let's take a quick pit stop. Folks, if you're finding our little chat enjoyable, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the F1 Motor Fever podcast channel. It really helps us keep our wheels turning and continue to bring you this top-quality content absolutely free.
And if you've got any friends who are F1 fans, do share this with them. It always adds to the fun when you've got others to discuss the races with.
Spot on. Now here's a little tidbit for you all. We're here every day at 3 in the afternoon and 7 in the evening. And on race weekends, we've got special episodes that you wouldn't want to miss.
That's right. And don't forget our special Thursday morning episodes where we dive deep into some truly epic topics.
Absolutely. But now, let's shift gears and get back to the subject at hand. The call from Ferrari. I can only imagine what an experience that would have been. Being approached by such an iconic team, it sounds like quite the story.
Indeed, it's not every day that Ferrari rings you up with a proposition like that.
And it's interesting to note Vasseur'S resistance to being too emotional when considering the offer. That's a pretty level-headed approach, considering he's been in this line of work for 32 or 33 years.
That's a solid point. It's a careful balance, isn't it? Letting the excitement fuel your decisions without letting it cloud your judgment.
Absolutely. And to think that this job at Ferrari is seen as the biggest challenge after more than 3 decades in the field. That really speaks volumes about the stature of the team, doesn't it?
It certainly does. I've never really thought about it in those terms. It's a good point and definitely something to ponder.
It's interesting that Vasseur took a full day to consider the offer, despite the magnitude of the opportunity. The dedication to his family is quite commendable, isn't it?
It certainly is. But I think it's also worth considering the alternative prospect he had. Sauber had a promising future ahead, and he'd built up quite a connection with the team over the past 5 years.
But come on, it's Ferrari we're talking about. The most iconic team in the history of Formula One. Surely it's an opportunity you wouldn't want to pass up.
From our perspective, it may seem that way. But remember, Vasseur is a man who's built up his own company in the past. He's used to imprinting his own identity on the teams he's worked with, and Sauber offered him a chance to do that.
That's an interesting perspective. But being a part of an institution like Ferrari, wouldn't that be an even bigger accomplishment?
It could be, but consider this. At Sauber, every achievement, every success would be a testament to his own leadership and vision. At Ferrari, he's stepping into a legacy that's been built over decades. The sense of personal achievement could potentially be very different.
I see where you're coming from, but I'm not entirely convinced. It's Ferrari after all.
And that's perfectly fine, mate. It's normal to not fully agree on everything. The important thing is to keep an open mind and consider different perspectives.
You're right there. I'll definitely think more about it. It's fascinating when you think about Vasseur'S journey. He compares himself to red wine, getter better with seasons. I reckon there's some truth in that.
Certainly. Experience is invaluable in this sport, and the experience of running a team like Sauber would have definitely prepared him for a role at Ferrari.
I love the idea of thinking of a career progression like a fine wine. It really resonates, doesn't it? Not just about getting older, but about growing richer, fuller, and more complex with time.
It's a great metaphor indeed. It captures the essence of working in Formula One. The sport is always evolving, so the ability to adapt and grow is crucial.
No doubt about that. He also mentioned that the timing felt right to move on from Sauber after Audi's arrival and that he was satisfied with what they had accomplished. It's a very measured and matured perspective, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. Knowing when it's time to move on and start a new chapter is often just as important as knowing when to dig in and work hard. It shows a level of self-awareness that's quite admirable.
That's an excellent point. There's definitely a lot to ponder from Vasseur'S journey and perspective. Might even make us appreciate the next glass of red wine we have a bit more, eh?
Hey, that it might, mate, that it might.
It's a compelling point Vasseur brings up about the diversity of backgrounds among team principals. It really highlights how there isn't a single route to success in this sport.
Oh, absolutely. This really reminds me of a childhood memory. I remember as a young lad I used to dream of becoming a team principal. I was always fascinated by the strategy and management side of the sport.
And look at you now, one of the most respected voices in Formula One commentary. Not quite a team principal, but certainly involved in the sport.
Hey, yes, the path has led me somewhere different, but just as rewarding. I may not be strategizing pit stops, but I get to dissect every detail of the race, which I absolutely love.
And we love hearing your insights. Now, going back to the interview, Vasseur also comments on the question of nationality, being French in an Italian team. He seems pretty level-headed about it, doesn't he?
Definitely. He doesn't see it as an advantage or a disadvantage, which says a lot about his focus. It's not about where he's from, it's about what he can bring to the team.
It's a wonderful outlook, really. It certainly ties back into the whole red wine metaphor and the idea of growing richer and more complex with time.
Absolutely. As they say, it's not just about the grapes, it's about the wine they become.
Hey, well said, mate. And with that, let's move on to the next segment of our podcast. It's always enlightening to hear about the evolution of Formula One from the people who've experienced it firsthand. Vasseur'S conversation with Todd about the differences between now and then is quite insightful.
Indeed, it's a different era altogether. Oddly enough, I was just watching an old race from the 90s the other day, and the difference in the technology and strategies is staggering.
I can imagine. I was reading an article about the advances in race car technology just last week. The progress is astounding, isn't it?
It truly is. And speaking of advances, Vasseur'S commitment to learning Italian is commendable. Language learning is always a challenge, but it's quite important when you're running a team like Ferrari.
I remember when I tried to learn Italian for a holiday trip, it was quite the task. What about you? Ever tried picking up a new language?
Funny you should ask. I've been trying to learn Spanish during the lockdown. It's been a journey to say the least.
Heh. Well, best of luck to you and to Vasseur with your respective language learning endeavors. Let's delve further into the interview. Vasseur's first day in Maranello wasn't as dramatic as we might expect, was it? He already had a sense of familiarity with the place.
Indeed, it seems that transitioning into the role of team principal wasn't a jarring experience for him.
It's interesting how he speaks about the pressure. He doesn't want the weight of Ferrari's history to be an added burden, but it's clear that he feels it in his surroundings.
That's true. The passion and expectations from the fans and the community around Ferrari is palpable. It must be a unique experience to step into such a role.
It definitely must be. And the fact that Vasseur feels he puts enough pressure on himself without needing any added weight from external factors shows a lot about his character, does it not?
Absolutely. It's evident that he holds himself to high standards. That kind of self-imposed pressure can often drive people to achieve great things.
True words. Now let's hear more from Vasseur's interview. There's truly a sense of magic around Ferrari, isn't there? A deep-seated loyalty among fans even after years without a championship.
Without a doubt, Ferrari's legacy is one that resonates with fans worldwide, and it's this passion that keeps them going.
And I love the question that Vasseur would ask Enzo Ferrari. Are you proud of what Ferrari is today?
Hold on a minute. It's an intriguing question indeed, but it's worth noting that Ferrari's success isn't just measured in race victories. The brand's global recognition and prestige, the impact they've had on the automotive industry, it's immense.
Excellent point. And Vasseur acknowledges this by saying that while Enzo Ferrari might have wanted better results on the racetrack, as a company guy, he'd probably be very proud of Ferrari's global image.
Precisely, the company has become a symbol of Italian pride, and its allure extends far beyond the racetrack.
Well said. Let's move on to hear more about Vasseur's take on leading Ferrari. The mindset of constantly aiming for improvement is so important, isn't it? Vasseur's focus on doing better tomorrow than today resonates with Enzo Ferrari's philosophy that the best Ferrari is the next one.
Indeed, it's a vital attitude to have in a sport as competitive as Formula One. Complacency can lead to stagnation.
Definitely. And speaking of competition, Vasseur's assessment of Ferrari's current standing is rather candid. They're essentially in the middle of the pack, sometimes leading, sometimes trailing.
True. The reality of the situation is that apart from Verstappen, who's in a league of his own, there's a cluster of teams vying for the top spots, and Ferrari is right there in the mix.
A stark reminder that in this sport, every small improvement can make a difference. There's a need to focus on every single detail.
Yes, the margins are so tight that any gain, no matter how minimal, can potentially lead to a leap in performance.
It seems like Vasseur has the right idea. We'll just have to see how it plays out on the track. Let's continue with the interview. Vasseur'S focus isn't on isolated improvements, but on a holistic approach. It's about creating a mentality within the team that constantly strives for better, regardless of their current standing.
Exactly. It reminds me of something my uncle used to say. Improvement has no finish line. It's the journey that matters, not the destination.
That's a brilliant way to put it. Also, the team's positivity and motivation, despite tough times, is something Vasseur appreciates. It's a testament to their resilience.
And that's essential in a sport like Formula One. Resilience can often make the difference between a good and a great team.
Absolutely. But when asked about one particular area that needs improvement, Vasseur refrains from pointing fingers at anyone or any department.
It seems like he wants to foster a supportive and blame-free environment in the team. That's a good leadership quality, wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. It's definitely a trait of a leader who's focused on collective growth. Let's delve deeper into Vasseur's interview. So Vasseur acknowledges that Ferrari hasn't fully capitalized on the potential of their package this season. It seems there's a strong focus on constant improvement and evolution within the team.
That's right. The idea of staying in one place equating to death in Formula One is quite striking. It's a sport where complacency doesn't just lead to lost races, but also to an erosion of the team's standing.
Spot on. And when asked about whether he has everything he needs to win in terms of infrastructure, Vasseur's response is intriguing. He believes that being satisfied with what you have is a mistake, and that there's always room for more.
It's a testament to the relentless pursuit of excellence that defines Formula One, isn't it?
Absolutely. Even in terms of personnel, Vasseur maintains that to not be looking for new talent is to go backwards. It's a striking portrait of the constant churn and change that keeps a Formula One team moving forward.
Indeed, in this high-stakes and rapidly evolving sport, the search for the next big thing never stops.
Let's see what else Vasseur has to say. The challenges of staffing a Formula One team are immense. Vasseur estimates a loss of around 90 personnel a year. That's a significant number to replenish.
Especially when you consider the specific skill sets required. It's not like you can just grab anyone off the street. These are specialized roles we're talking about.
Indeed, and when it comes to recruitment, Vasseur doesn't just look within Formula One. He's interested in a mix. Experienced hands from other teams, yes, but also fresh blood from universities and high schools.
It's a smart approach, bringing in new perspectives while retaining the know-how that can only come from experience. A finely balanced mix like that can really drive innovation.
Spot on. And speaking of driving, it seems we're about to delve into the drivers now. The first one up is Charles Leclerc. I'm looking forward to hearing Vasseur's take on how he's evolved.
As are we all. Leclerc is a fascinating talent, and hearing from someone who's seen him grow firsthand would be quite insightful. Let's hear more.
Before we proceed, here's an interesting tidbit for our listeners. Did you know that Charles Leclerc became the second youngest driver in history to secure a pole position in Formula One? He accomplished this at the Bahrain Grand Prix in 2019, at just 21 years old.
That's an impressive feat. It's an early indication of the potential this young man holds. Who knows what other records he might shatter in the years to come?
Only time will tell. Now let's return to Vasseur's insights on Charles Leclerc. Vasseur's perspective on Charles' evolution is fascinating. He acknowledges the challenges faced by Leclerc in 2018, his transition year from Junior Series to Formula One. But he also recognizes how well Charles adapted to the change in environment.
It seems that Vasseur views Charles' move to Ferrari as the most significant test of his character. It's interesting that he finds Charles more mature and confident now, yet still maintaining his honesty towards himself and the team.
Indeed, and Vasseur doesn't shy away from acknowledging that there is frustration in Charles. But he sees it as a positive force, a part of the motivation that drives him. It's an intriguing viewpoint, isn't it?
It certainly is. In a sport as competitive as Formula One, some level of dissatisfaction is almost necessary for that drive to improve. If you're perfectly happy with where you are, the motivation to push harder might wane.
Exactly. Now I'm curious to hear Vasseur's thoughts on Charles's greatest quality. Let's delve deeper into that. Vasseur really values Charles's honesty with himself and the team. He sees it as a significant asset in developing. He also speaks quite positively about Charles's radio communication with his race engineer.
Oh, do shove off with that. Clearly, Vasseur is just sugarcoating it. Charles needs to be more assertive, more decisive. The pit wall should be leading the show, not having a tea party with the driver.
I couldn't disagree more. A driver's input is crucial in strategy calls. There is immense value in open discussion. It's a team sport after all.
Nah, mate, that's complete tosh. Formula One isn't a democracy. It's about quick decisions, not time-consuming chit-chats.
I can't believe you'd say something like that. A driver's perspective is invaluable. I need a moment to cool off. Excuse me while I fetch some water.
While he's gone, let's chat, listeners. Sometimes I think our friend here is too caught up in his idealistic world. Open discussion, team sport. What's next? Drivers' unions? Sorry for the outburst.
All right, I'm back. Let's carry on. What were we discussing again? Vasseur definitely seems to value the role of the drivers in team development. He insists on it being plural, as in multiple drivers are key to the development. I find that quite...
Sorry to interrupt, but I think it's a clever move on Vasseur'S part. In a sport that tends to focus on individual drivers, he's emphasizing the importance of a team effort. It's a refreshing perspective, wouldn't you agree?
Yes, indeed. It's a perspective that takes into account the value of both drivers in the team. He also mentions the important role the drivers play, not just on the track, but in the development of the team and the motivation they can bring.
And he's not swayed by the interviewer's suggestion of a single driver dominating a team, like Verstappen at Red Bull or Hamilton at Mercedes. He's firm in his belief that teams succeed when they develop around multiple drivers.
That's a good point. Let's see what else Vasseur has to say about the future of Ferrari and the role of the drivers in the team. Vasseur further strengthens his point by comparing today's situation with that of 5 years ago. Nowadays, a group of 10 to 12 cars could potentially fight for the first row. This makes the driver's role even more significant.
Could you give us an example to illustrate that point better?
Absolutely. Think about the qualifying sessions. If a driver nails their lap, they could end up second on the grid. However, a single mistake could see them plummet to 12th. That's a huge swing, and it underlines the crucial role of the driver.
Indeed, the margin for error is so thin. Every decision counts.
Exactly. But it's not just about the performance on the track. It's what the drivers bring to the team off the track too. Vasseur stresses the importance of drivers' ability to motivate the team, provide technical feedback, and push the team towards improvement.
And speaking of technical feedback, Vasseur mentions Carlos Sainz. It seems he appreciates Sainz's maturity in communication and technical analysis.
Yes, he points out two key aspects: a driver's ability to analyze their own performance and their ability to express that analysis effectively. In this regard, Vasseur feels Sainz is an excellent compromise. He has the right balance of maturity, technical insight, and communication skills. Vasseur seems to be in no rush to discuss contracts with his drivers. His main focus is on developing the team's package and reinforcing the structure of the team.
That's interesting. Though isn't it normal for teams to renew contracts early or discuss future plans with their drivers?
Yes, it is quite common. However, Vasseur emphasizes that his drivers still have quite a long contract term left. He seems confident and plans to discuss it in due course.
Well, let's see how that plays out. Moving on, Monza is up next. It's Ferrari's home race. What can we expect?
Vasseur keeps it simple. His job is to try to get the best result in Monza. It's obvious the Tifosi will be out in full force, turning the grandstands red in support of their team.
It's always a special race, isn't it? The atmosphere, the passion. Here's hoping for a thrilling race weekend.
Absolutely. Monza never disappoints. It's going to be an exciting weekend indeed. Vasseur is doing his best to keep everyone grounded and focused, despite the emotional atmosphere that always surrounds Monza. He acknowledges the heightened emotions, but emphasizes the need to stay calm and treat it as a part of the championship.
But wouldn't the emotions of the crowd, the atmosphere, wouldn't that give them an edge?
I can't believe you just asked that. That's like asking if a football team plays better at home because of their fans.
Hey, we might have listeners who are new to Formula One. It's a legitimate question.
Ha 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 ha. I suppose you're right. But we wouldn't want our listeners to switch channels thinking that we're stating the obvious, would we?
Even if it seems obvious to some, it could still be interesting to others. Plus, it's always good to clarify things for our new listeners.
Fair enough. So, to answer your question, yes, the atmosphere could potentially give the team a boost. But as Vasseur says, it's important to stay focused and not let the emotions overwhelm you. Looking ahead, Vasseur sets out his goals for the remainder of 2023. It seems like they're focusing on making the best use of the car they have, acknowledging that improvements to the package will have to wait until next year.
So it's not just about having the best car, but also about maximizing its potential. Is that the gist of it, George?
Absolutely, William. He points out two key parameters the business is based on: having the best car and making the best use of it. He acknowledges they're not currently leading in either aspect, but sees a lot of room for improvement.
Interesting. It seems like a very pragmatic approach.
Indeed, William Turner. And when asked when we can judge Fred Vasseur's Ferrari, it becomes clear that Vasseur is in a situation that he inherited. He arrived at Ferrari too late to significantly influence the current car, but his focus now is on making the best of what they have and preparing for the future. Vasseur makes it clear he's not one to pass the buck. He's responsible and he's willing to take that responsibility. It's not about finding excuses, it's about doing a better job and getting the results that are deserved.
That's quite commendable. However, it's interesting to note that Vasseur mentions improvements, not specific targets. Isn't it essential for any team to have clear, defined targets?
Not necessarily. It seems Vasseur is more about a forward momentum, constantly improving and doing a better job. It's not about placing at a specific position next year, but about being better than the previous one.
I see. Yet in sports, isn't success often measured in titles and trophies? Would not setting a specific target be considered somewhat unorthodox?
While titles and trophies are an important part of sports, it's not always the be-all and end-all. Improvement and progress can be just as significant. It's about the journey, not just the destination.
Well, that's a perspective to consider. As long as it works out for them and they're making progress, that's what truly matters, isn't it?
Indeed, though I'm not entirely convinced. But you do make some compelling points. I'll have to mull it over.
And that's precisely the beauty of these discussions. We don't always have to agree, but it's important to consider different viewpoints.
You're absolutely right. It's definitely food for thought. Vasseur has his sights set high. While acknowledging that Verstappen is currently faster, he still believes that with some improvement, they could potentially win a race this year.
It seems he has a strong belief in the team's capabilities.
Yes, he does. And when asked about the pride he'd feel bringing Ferrari back to the front of the pack, he doesn't hesitate to state it would be the greatest achievement of his career. It's a bold claim, but one that shows his dedication and commitment to the team.
Certainly, and his closing remark about not believing in luck but acknowledging it could help, that's quite intriguing, isn't it?
It is indeed, William. It shows a realistic outlook. Success in motorsport isn't just about luck, it's about the right strategy, the right decisions, and the right execution. But a little luck can indeed be a welcome bonus.
Well said, George. It's refreshing to see such candidness and commitment from Vasseur.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us on another episode of F1 Motor Fever Podcast. We're grateful for your time and hope you enjoyed our discussion on Vasseur's plans for Ferrari. We invite you to engage with us, subscribe, and turn on those notifications so you don't miss out. Sharing your thoughts in the comments and spreading the word about our podcast helps us bring these conversations to even more Formula One enthusiasts. And Enzo, we think you'll especially love this episode.
Absolutely, George. What a ride it has been. And if you think this was exciting, just wait until you see what we have in store. But no spoilers. You'll have to stay tuned to find out.
Couldn't have said it better myself, William. We're thrilled to have you all on this journey with us and are looking forward to the next episode. Remember, pedal to the metal. Keep your gaze on the road. Our channel's content is pure gold. Until next time, bye for now.